The lights dimmed in the massive studio of America's Got Talent, Manila 2025, and the air buzzed with the kind of anticipation that could make even the toughest hearts tremble. The judges, Simon Cowell, Sofia Vergara, Heidi Klum, and the ever-energetic Terry Cruz, sat poised behind their gleaming table. The crowd's roar faded into an expectant hush as a frail old man stepped slowly onto the stage, clutching a worn-out cap in one hand and a folded piece of paper in the other. He moved with the careful steps of someone who had walked far too many roads and carried far too many memories. His clothes were neat but faded, his shoes scuffed, and his face lined with the quiet pain of years that had not been kind. Yet, in his eyes, there burned a light, soft but steady, the kind that came from surviving storms and still finding reasons to smile. Terry Cruz leaned forward, whispering into his mic. "Sir, welcome to the AGT Manila stage. What's your name?" The old man's voice cracked as he spoke. "My name is Mang Ernesto Dela Cruz, but you can call me Mang Ernie." Simon squinted, leaning forward slightly. "How old are you, Mang Ernie?" 74, sir," he replied softly, smiling with a slight tremble. "And what will you be doing for us today?" Sofia asked, her tone gentle. "I'll be playing the piano," he said, glancing toward a small upright piano brought onto the stage. "And maybe, if you'll allow me, I'll sing a little, too." There was a ripple of murmurs through the audience. Some smiled encouragingly, others looked doubtful. Simon crossed his arms, not out of arrogance, but curiosity. He'd seen thousands of acts, but something about this man's humble demeanor made him lean in. Terry Cruz gave him a thumbs up from the side of the stage. "Take your time, sir. We're all rooting for you." Mang Ernie nodded and shuffled toward the piano. He ran his wrinkled fingers over the keys, each touch tender, as if he were greeting old friends he hadn't seen in years. The lights softened, and the studio fell into a reverent silence. Before playing, he spoke again, almost to himself. "I used to play for soldiers, during the war. The piano was my way of keeping hope alive when the world around us was falling apart. Today, I play for them, and for my wife, who never stopped believing in me." He took a deep breath. Then his fingers descended on the keys. The first notes were soft, trembling, uncertain, like a fragile whisper carried by the wind. Then, slowly, the melody began to bloom into something achingly beautiful. It was a song of loss, of longing, of home. The old man's hands, though wrinkled and veined, moved with a grace that came from love rather than skill. Every note seemed to carry a story, of battles fought, of friends lost, of love endured. And then he began to sing. His voice was weathered but pure, carrying a raw emotion that hit straight to the soul. Musical note: when the guns fell silent, I played for peace. For the ones who never came home. For every tear, every dream we missed. I played so love could still be known. Musical note. The crowd was utterly still. Even Simon, known for his steely composure, blinked hard, his lips pressed into a thin line as he watched the old veteran pour his heart into every word. As the song continued, images appeared on the giant LED screen behind him, black and white photos of Filipino soldiers during the war, interspersed with snapshots of Manila streets, children waving flags, and a young man, Ernesto himself, smiling beside a piano in a makeshift shelter. When he reached the final verse, his voice cracked but didn't break. Musical note: now I play for you, my country dear. For the dreams that still survive. Though my hands may shake, my heart still plays. To keep the hope alive. Musical note. The last note lingered in the air like a prayer. Then silence, deep and heavy, filled the entire arena. And then, like a dam breaking, the crowd erupted. People rose to their feet, clapping, crying, cheering. Heidi Klum had tears streaming down her cheeks. Sofia Vergara wiped her eyes with a tissue. But it was Simon's reaction that stole everyone's breath. He sat motionless, his eyes glassy, his jaw set tight. Then, slowly, he stood. The camera caught the exact moment he whispered, that was beautiful." Mang Ernie stood beside the piano, trembling. He looked overwhelmed by the applause, almost embarrassed by it. Terry Cruz ran on stage, putting a hand on his shoulder. "Sir, you have the entire nation on their feet right now." Mang Ernie chuckled softly. "I didn't think anyone would remember an old man like me. I just wanted to be heard one last time." Simon finally spoke, his voice quieter than usual but filled with weight. "Mang Ernie, I've seen many pianists on this stage, but none who played from their soul the way you just did. Every note, every lyric, you told a story. You made us feel every heartbeat of your journey. He paused, his throat tightening. You reminded me why this show exists. It's not just about talent. It's about humanity. The audience cheered again, chanting, "Golden buzzer. Golden buzzer." Heidi nodded. That was one of the most emotional performances I've ever heard. You brought the whole room to tears. Sofia added, "It wasn't just a song, it was a piece of history. You gave us your heart." Simon looked down for a moment, took a deep breath, and then, with tears finally slipping down his face, he pressed the golden buzzer. The golden confetti exploded from above like a rain of light, swirling around Mang Ernie as the audience roared. He covered his face in disbelief, tears falling freely now. Terry hugged him tightly as Simon stepped up to the stage, shaking his hand. "You deserve this, Mang Ernie," Simon said softly. "Your story will never be forgotten." Mang Ernie could barely speak. "Thank you, I never thought I'd see this day." The music swelled, the lights brightened, and the moment became one of those rare, unforgettable ones that would replay across the world, the story of an old Filipino veteran who turned his pain into art and touched millions of hearts. After the show, videos of his performance went viral within hours. #Mang Ernie trended across social media platforms. People all over the world shared his story, veterans, musicians, and ordinary citizens alike. Comments flooded in. "Greater than, cried my eyes out watching this. True legend. My dad was a veteran too. Mang Ernie played for all of them." Simon crying. "That says it all." News anchors replayed his performance, calling it, the soul of the Philippines captured in one song. But behind the fame and applause, Mang Ernie returned to his modest home, a small nipa hut on the outskirts of Quezon City. There, surrounded by memories, he sat once more at his piano. The confetti from that night was neatly kept in a small jar beside framed pictures of his late wife, Maria, and their 2 sons, both lost in service. He touched the piano keys gently. "We did it, Maria," he whispered. "Our song reached the world." A few weeks later, AGT Manila aired the semifinals. The audience waited eagerly to see what Mang Ernie would perform next. When his turn came, he walked onto the stage wearing the same cap he'd worn before, the one embroidered with the insignia of the old Philippine Scouts. Simon greeted him warmly. "Mang Ernie, after that golden buzzer moment, the whole world is watching. How are you feeling?" He smiled faintly. "Just grateful, sir. Every note I play is for the ones who can't be here anymore." He sat at the grand piano once more, closed his eyes, and began to play a hauntingly beautiful instrumental piece, no words this time, just pure emotion. The melody rose and fell like waves on the shore, echoing through the hall. As the last chord faded, there was silence again, that sacred silence only the most powerful performances can create. Simon pressed his hand over his heart. "That," he said softly, "was perfection." Mang Ernie didn't win the final season. But it didn't matter. He'd already won something far greater, the world's love and respect. After the show, he was invited to perform at national events, charity concerts, and even at the Malacanang Palace, where the president awarded him a medal for his contribution to Filipino music and culture. Everywhere he went, people greeted him with warmth. Street vendors called out his name, children waved, and soldiers saluted. But Mang Ernie remained the same humble man he had always been, walking slowly, smiling softly, always with his old cap in hand. 1 year later, in a quiet morning in Quezon City, the news broke that Mang Ernesto Dela Cruz had passed away peacefully in his sleep. At his funeral, people from every walk of life came, veterans, fans, musicians, even Simon Cowell, who flew in from London to pay his respects. The piano from his first performance stood beside his coffin, covered in flowers and golden confetti. During the ceremony, Simon gave a brief but emotional speech. Some performances fade with time, but Mang Ernie's will echo forever. He didn't just play notes, he played life itself. The crowd wept softly as a young boy, inspired by Mang Ernie, played his song one last time. And as the sun set, casting a warm glow over the small cemetery, it seemed as though the world paused, just for a moment, to listen once more to the melody of a man who turned his pain into beauty and his music into legacy. Years later, a bronze statue of Mang Ernesto Dela Cruz was erected outside the AGT Manila studio. The inscription read, "Greater than, he played not for fame, but for the hearts that remembered." And every year, on the anniversary of his audition, thousands of Filipinos gathered around that statue, some bringing flowers, others guitars and pianos, and together they played his song, letting his melody fill the air once more. Because heroes are not always soldiers with medals. Sometimes, they are old men with trembling hands and a piano, who remind the world that music, love, and courage never grow old. Mang Ernie's story would forever live on, not just in recordings, or in television reruns, but in every heart that ever believed in second chances, in every song that carried a memory, and in every dream that refused to die. For he was not just a veteran. He was the sound of hope. He was the song of a nation.